Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to our John Wick 2 review. We've been waiting a long time for it in Australia and we finally have it. And joining me here today is Connor.
Hello.
And Benny.
I believe it's John Wick Chapter 2, George.
Oh, Chapter 2, my bad, sorry.
That's all right. Show some respect. You don't want this guy pissed off at you.
Yeah, I agree. So I was a big fan of John Wick 1.
Who wasn't?
Yeah.
Stole the words right out of my mouth.
Tell us out there if you didn't like it. But
No, if you don't like
yeah.
it, screw you.
Yeah.
What a Bolt in the Blue. John Wick. Everyone loved that movie.
Yeah. I was really anticipating this one, and it wasn't as good as John Wick 1, I don't think, but as a solid sequel, an action flick, this film really delivered the goods for me. I had a great time in the cinema watching it. As I said, it wasn't as good as 1, but a solid sequel.
Yeah. That's probably the best way to describe that. It is a solid sequel. It's it'll never be able to capture the kind of novelty of the first one. I remember watching the first one and thinking like this movie has no right to be this good. It's so kind of from left field how much I'm enjoying this film. But as far as a continuation from that, I liked how they expanded the universe a little bit more. Kind of explored this cool culture of assassins and the Continental. They really doubled down on action in this one. But then, and yeah, ultimately just a fairly solid sequel.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
More of the same. Not. You're never going to get the thrill from seeing that first one the first time. But this lives up to it, I think, in every way. Good, about as good as you can do for a number 2 in a franchise. Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a lot to it. There's not a lot to this film. There's actually not a lot of dialogue in this film at all. It's quite cerebral, slower. Well, when I say cerebral, I mean
gunshot to the head.
Yeah.
You see a lot of brains. This movie has a lot of brains.
A lot of brain matter.
It just seems a bit slower than a lot of action films. It's not drilling you with information. It's not trying to be real techie or anything. It's very sort of simple and stylish.
It
Got
shows
some really cool sequences and sets.
Yeah, when you say cerebral, what I kind of got out of that is that it doesn't really tell you too much. It kind of shows you. It really just lets the plot move on. I mean,
Just kind of unfolds in front of you. Yeah.
Which is probably, I didn't quite like it at the beginning because they were a little bit too much, hark back to the first one, boogeyman type.
Baba Yaga.
Yeah. It was a cool action sequence, but ultimately
It was so loud. Wow, and those car engines were like ripping into my ears.
Yeah. I did like that though. The car engine.
Yeah.
Tragedy that they totaled that car.
Yeah.
But kind of when the main storyline starts, from when his house gets blown up, those exposition scenes are well placed and they tell you what you need to know and then you just kind of move on with the plot. I thought that was really well done, and that's what I got out of it being cerebral. It wasn't just, constantly slowed down by poor unnecessary dialogue.
I think the pacing of this film is where it shines. For me, I was just getting whisked along this adventure. I didn't ever feel like it got bogged down or slow. I just thought, boom, 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 set piece after set piece.
It just keeps running along. It starts with an epilogue to the first movie, essentially.
Yeah.
Just wrapping up a hitherto unforeseen part of that Russian family from the first one, and then very quickly sets up what's happening in this one, and just John Wick
takes off. Yeah. There's a bit of irony about this film because we talk about how it just doesn't linger too much. It moves the plot on quite nicely, but at the same time, in certain parts of the film, it really does take its time. So that the big assassination part of this film is a conversation that takes a good 3 minutes out of this film that felt like they let silences linger. They kind of really filled it with dialogue where it needed to be filled. It took quite a bit of time. They took their time with it. Is the best way to put it. And then when the scenes need to start moving, they do. So it's a weird kind of irony that in certain parts of this film it feels like it just takes its time to let you reflect and just kind of visualize, and then in other parts it ramps up and makes these things move.
And when it moves, it moves. I mean, what are you looking for in a John Wick sequel? It's the action, and I think we can all agree it delivered on that. I mean,
spades, yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's
Headshot
several
central, man.
there's several points where there's two action scenes intercut with each other at the same time, which is, I thought, awesome. It's everything you loved about the action in the first one is back and bigger, but not in a bad way.
And for a $40 million budget, like, man, that's
Very
how
nice.
you use a budget.
Yeah.
And it looks so slick. Like, they really amp up the film and give it a larger-than-life kind of feeling from a $40 million budget by having cool cinematography and those more slower moments where you kind of, it's like stylistic and cool. And
Yeah, for sure. Although, all right, speaking of the budget, I do need to bring this up. The green screen in this. There were a couple of scenes where there was just some absolutely horrendous green screen.
where was that?
There was at least 5 or 6 scenes that had just, it took me right out of the film. And I wouldn't be able to place them. It was more often than it should have been. I can forgive a movie if they have 1 or 2 bad green screen, but it was particularly bad green screen, and it was more than one scene. It's a couple of them that just really took me out.
I'd say there are a couple, but it was more, not that it was terrible green screen, it was just more odd that they used green screen in that scene. I think there's one with him and Common around a fountain, and it's why is this green screen?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very strange.
Yeah.
And there was there's a few ones with Common actually, but
Common.
Let's
talk about Common.
He's carved out quite a good career for himself,
Yeah, he
that guy.
has. He's pretty tough as nails kind
For
of
a
dude in
rapper,
this.
yeah.
Jeez.
Gone from slam poetry to this.
That's one of my favorite sequences in it.
the fountain one.
Yeah.
When they're in the subway and just chucking those silences at each other, it's such a ridiculous scene, but I absolutely love it. It's so silly.
Yeah. So dumb. Is that a spoiler?
No.
No.
Just I don't think there's much to spoil in this movie, but
Do we want to?
you've all already seen it, and if you haven't, if you like the first one, see this one.
Yeah,
I think
this
we
is
can all agree
pretty
on
much
that.
a retro review by now.
Yeah, but so if there may be some spoilers for the rest of this review, if there are any.
Spoilers
By the
from
way.
now.
Yeah, no, that
Okay, wait. First spoiler, the dog didn't die. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they made that clear in the trailer, though.
Oh, did
When
they?
they show his house explode,
Oh, okay.
the dog's sitting next to him outside
Why?
of
They
it.
shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have done that in the trailer.
Oh, so you'd be so worried about it.
Yeah, it's a good hook. Does the dog survive?
Yeah.
I'm going to go see John Wick 2 and find out.
Yeah.
I'd
But,
been really
I really like
disappointed.
that.
I'd been really disappointed if they had killed the dog.
Yeah.
So I think like that.
And he's a
that's-
cute dog, man.
Yeah.
The first one was so ugly. I'm glad they got rid of that one.
It's like, rid this creature of this earth.
Well, one of the biggest problems that sequels have is they're just trying to rehash what happens in the first one, and that was my one of my fears of this is that if it's just his dog being killed again and he goes on a rampage because of that, we'll get the action out of it, but
This
you
felt
won't get the
very much like a standard good version of a sequel.
Yeah.
Like where it's doing enough different, but it's still kind of doing some of the same stuff, and it's also at the same time setting up a third one. Throughout it.
This one, I think its saving grace was that we got to explore a little bit more of the society. The one of the really not too much, but enough that you got a little bit more of a taste. You added some characters. That's I really think what made the first John Wick really cool.
Yeah. I mean, you guys say world building. Twice an episode every time we record.
We have to.
John Wick, I think, is one of the greatest examples of a slow burn, kind of building this amazing comic booky sort of world. And this movie was based on nothing, but it just keeps revealing more about the secret society and this world of hitmen. And this one kind of keeps that moving along, slightly absurdly, I think, because by the end it seems like everyone in New York is an assassin, including all of the homeless people. But it's kind of fun. It's like you've got the king of the hobos, Laurence Fishburne.
What did you think of Laurence Fishburne in this?
I was so stoked to see those guys back on screen again.
He was a bit over the top.
He was very over the top.
I loved it.
Someone get this man a gun.
As if that wasn't fantastic.
It wasn't fantastic.
Fun. I mean, it was weird.
But he obviously went in with that notion that he was going to do that kind of character.
Yeah, it's just Keanu is so kind of pared down in his performance. He's like, and then Laurence Fishburne comes in just as this amazing, almost singing hobo.
I got what he's going for. He's going for the eccentric hobo thing. But this movie could have so easily been a Taken 2 or a Hangover 2, where you get those kind of gem in the rough films.
Gem in the Rough.
Is it in that? Have I made one up again, or is that
Diamond in the Rough? I
Diamond
think.
in the
Diamond in the Rough? Jesus, how do I keep doing this?
Yeah.
Normally I can speak quite well. Like I'm
from
a
another
literate
planet.
person, I swear.
Literally put a microphone in front of him.
Yeah, and I
out.
turn into this like bumbling mess of
No,
a human
no.
He
being.
normally has the strongest Australian accent.
Yeah. Proper Bogan accent.
One thing
I
in
can't
this
remember what I was talking
film,
about.
I'm going to take the
Yeah, by all
lead on
means,
this.
George.
George, what do you think?
I don't think this film had as good a bad guy as number one with Michael Nyqvist from who was in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, played Mikael Blomkvist in that, and I really liked him. He was in a few films a couple of years ago. He was in Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol, and
This is the father from the first one?
Yeah.
He was Boris the bullet dodger,
Yeah.
I think, from Snatch. Or Lock, Stock. God damn, I can't never tell those movies apart.
No, that was Snatch.
Doesn't matter.
Snatch, yeah.
But I don't think that this film had a very good bad guy. I didn't like Ruby
He
Rose.
had a great death, though.
He did. That was intense.
Exactly
But
what you want.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like Ruby Rose in this at all. I thought she was just very strange henchman. I wasn't on board with that. So yeah, that's where this film just kind of wasn't as great as the first one.
I thought
in
Common
terms of
was
the bad
good.
guy.
Common was good.
And they've kept him alive.
Common was good, but you could have put anyone in there.
Yeah.
Put Dave Bautista in there, and it would have been better.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Keanu versus Dave Bautista. I'd see that any day. Sign me
I kind
up.
of liked that it was this. I mean, like she didn't really bring anything to the role, but I did like that it wasn't this big, bearded henchman dude, which I feel like Dave Bautista in that role would have kind of fit that mold.
Big bearded henchman dude.
What? Fair call.
Sorry, it's the pain again there.
Yeah, it's really getting to us. She was decent as a henchman, a little bit less kind of fitting the generic mold of what you'd expect. I don't know why she was deaf, but again, I thought it
I assume that's because she can't act.
It might very well be actually.
Yeah.
Common was good as well, but
Ian McShane was great. I really liked him. He's always great though.
Yeah. But in terms of the bad guy, the first one didn't really have a bad guy. That's the thing.
Yeah, it did.
Well, the main, let's say the bad guy, the head of the organization, at no point did he really have evil intent.
It had the guy from Game of Thrones, though.
Yeah, but
Theon Greyjoy, and he was great as this little weasel who you just really wanted to see John Wick get that guy, and he fucking did. You would, man.
But I wouldn't call him a bad guy. He was an idiot, and he was a little.
He was the bad guy. Though.
Yeah,
he
was
killed
the bad
the
guy,
fucking dog.
No, I mean more in terms of what is the word? Maybe villain, I guess.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think in the first one definitely had more of that because he really galvanized you. Like, get this fucking guy.
Yeah.
This one, didn't have quite that.
I'm talking about in terms of like malevolence and kind of the. In this one, you got the sense the malevolent
villain,
force,
the
in
evil,
that, yeah. But in this one, you kind of got the sense that he had done something, like he'd been more calculating and more kind of attacking John Wick personally, whereas the other one was some kid who's a shithead accidentally gets John Wick, and then his father has to try and clear the shit up. So I felt it was the first one. I didn't see him as much as a bad guy, whereas this one I felt there was more malevolence behind or bad intention behind the actions.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. But I just felt the threat wasn't there. And the catalyst for John Wick, there's more emotion involved in the first one. This one is like, they blew up my house. I'm going to fuck them up.
Yeah.
Basically. And what I really liked in this film was Keanu Reeves' portrayal of John Wick and how messed up he is. And he kind of doesn't know how to fit his life back together since everything happened with his wife. So yeah, I really like that. I thought Keanu, he plays a pretty straight face. He plays a pretty Keanu, but
it's the only way you can.
Yeah. I wouldn't want it any other way. So
yeah. I mean, are you guys? It certainly seems like they're setting up a third. Are you guys coming back?
100%.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'll enjoy it. Like I can go back to the first one and thoroughly enjoy it. I imagine it'll be similar for this one.
So the first movie had two directors. One of them left and one of them stayed for this one. For the third one, maybe he'll leave as well, and it'll just be Keanu Reeves running around the city killing people.
Hell yeah.
And someone running behind him with a camera.
With a camera. I was just saying, like, found footage of
Keanu
John
Reeves
Wick
goes on
running
mad
around.
rampage. Yeah, and, honestly, I think Keanu Reeves probably could be classified as a lethal weapon at this point because the amount of weapons and fight training he's had on the various movies over the years, he must be deadly, I think.
Well, he's a martial artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean...
And he's been trained by the best choreographers in the biz.
Yeah.
And everyone says his gunplay is better.
Well, there was
those
those videos that were released before the release of this film of him going through those gun ranges and just
owning it,
fucking owning shit.
Yeah, third one should just be a documentary about him fighting for real.
I like
watch
that.
it.
I like that level of authenticity they go with this franchise. They've chosen to do.
Well, the directors are stunt guys.
Oh right,
Yeah,
okay.
and they were
Makes sense.
actually brought in on Civil War.
Yeah, that's
Civil
right. I
War
remember
for a
that.
bit of work for a few days, which is
remember
very
that.
noticeable.
This was directed by Chad Stahelski. Is that it?
Yep,
Is that even
sure.
close?
Stahelski.
Chad, it was directed by Chad.
Stahelski?
Old man.
Chad.
Stahelski.
Good old Chad, who did the first one, or half of the first one, however that works.
That's how they did it. Yeah, the one guy did the first half and the second half.
Can I just say, going on those guys, that I loved the way the action was shot in this feature. Particularly in the first scene where he raids that base and takes the car, gets his car back.
Yeah, a lot of cool little cuts and effect shots and stuff, kind of very seamlessly
frame
integrated.
everything out like they literally on a dolly, just slowly moving, and it's not quick cutting. It's like we're sticking on this shot for 3 or 4 seconds and then going to another shot. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing Keanu Reeves as a martial artist. I'm seeing these. I'm understanding what's going on in these scenes, which these films always they go for the whole green grass documentary style quick cutting thing, and this one well composed.
It's the exact opposite of Taken, is what you're saying, because as you said, he is at this point literally he's a just trained weapon. So there were some really long shots where it was just beautiful, choreographed scenes of him doing martial arts for a good 10 seconds. Which you'd have never found in something like Taken, just because they don't have the ability to do those kind of shots.
Liam Neeson's like 70 years old.
He's an old man. That's still one of my favorite parts of the entire Taken franchise, is that him jumping the fence.
The fence, there's like
24 cuts in like a second.
Unbelievable.
I actually went to see Taken late, so I was about 10 minutes late to the film, and I sat down, and that scene happened within 30 seconds.
You walked right back out.
And I was like, what am I? Whoa.
I felt like throwing up in that film. Like, it just gave me, it was moving around in such a weird way and cutting in such a weird way, I thought.
Yeah, and it's exhausting, and that's why I liked about this.
It's very clean.
But yeah, I think we all enjoyed it. Solid film. Maybe not as good as one, but a definite must-see at the cinema.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing 6 months ago. When it came out in America.
All right, guys, we have our review for the film that we did before. King Arthur. King Arthur, that one.
So memorable.
So memorable. Go check out our review for that. And every Sunday is Top 8 Movie News. How exciting. I don't know what I'm talking about right now.
We've been stuck in a room for about 3 hours that has paint fumes in it.
Yeah.
It's a miracle we're still talking.
Are we? We go back to this recorded footage.
We've actually just been here drooling, imagining that we're having this conversation.
Anyway, guys, we're on YouTube, we're on iTunes. Hit that subscribe button. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Connor.
Thank you.
Benny.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.